The market is extending last week's bullish run, starting this week in the green, driven by Geregu Power, Associated Bus Company, and Linkage Assurance. Olumide Sole, investment analyst at PFI Capital, joins me for more market updates. Olumide, thank you so much. Pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
It's another week for the market. We saw at somewhere around midday, the market was up just under about 0.25%. But we have seen some profit taken. Talk to us about what the investment play is for investors this week and what your own outlook is.
Our outlook for this week is we're expecting profit taking to determine the activities and the way the markets will likely go this week. On the back of that, stocks are now, majority of the stocks are now in their overbought territory, meaning that we have recorded a rally in the stock market for more than about 4 consecutive weeks. So as a result of that, investors will likely want to book profit and also probably take advantage of rising yields in the fixed income market, because that's towards the end of last year, we saw yields decline sharply, but now we're still seeing yields rise gradually or marginally, and investors will likely want to take advantage of those. So,
okay, let's talk about one market event that investors will be keeping an eye on, and that is the Monetary Policy Committee meeting. It started today. We're expecting the decision tomorrow. Now, analysts' views in terms of expectations and outcomes are mixed, but what is your own expectation?
Okay, my expectation is we're expecting about 50 basis points rate hike, given that, yes, we know that inflation has started to moderate, but the inflationary pressures still persist. Although inflation has started to moderate, but inflation is still very high, at above 21%. It's still very, very high. And there's still risks of the inflationary pressures continue to, as long as they continue to persist, there's risks that inflation could rise above that. So for the CBN to be able to continue to wane or make the monetary policy tools to be more effective in taming down inflationary pressures, we'll likely see them increase rate by 50 basis points.
So, but what inflationary pressures or headwinds do you see ahead? Because if you're saying, obviously we've seen an easing, and the CBN, well, we believe, we may say, look, let's give some more time to allow these policy levers, et cetera, to work. But if you're saying you're expecting a 50 basis hike, you're probably seeing some headwinds ahead. What are they?
First and foremost, that's global and local.
Okay.
For global, the international monetary authorities are still going to continue to increase rates. So that's
Fed, I guess.
That will definitely have a ripple effect into the Nigerian economy. So as to be able to temper capital reversal flows from the Nigerian economy, the CBN also has to follow suit. And also, in the locally, we're experiencing fuel scarcity, which is definitely increasing transport costs, and which will definitely feed into cost of production and so on, which will definitely keep inflationary pressures high. Inflation that, according to data, inflation moderated, but it's majorly on the back of high base effect. It's not necessarily because of inflationary pressures as weighing out. The inflationary pressures are still there.
Still there. All right. Let's talk about what stocks investors are buying. We have about 2 minutes left. What will investors be buying this week? We know there's profit taking going on, but I know that gives an opportunity for bargain stocks and bargain hunting.
Okay, you'll be seeing banking stocks first, are major stocks that investors might likely buy this week. Last week, the bank sector lost about 2% week on week. So as a result of that, bargain hunting could occur in that sector. That's the likes of Zenith and GT Bank will likely record bargain hunting this week.
What about, let's talk about the consumer goods. I mean, it's been, well, you tell us what's been happening with the consumer goods counters in terms of what they're planning this year for, especially the brewers, for instance.
Yes,
are we expecting price increases this year? I mean, are they looking at consumers' wallets and saying, let's just try to be more innovative, et cetera?
Yeah, that's definitely the macroeconomic environment to definitely determine the decisions of the consumer goods companies. Majorly, since, like I said, inflationary pressures still persist, we'll likely see some price increases for some commodities, but not it won't go around like it won't be all, but some will definitely see some price increases. So, which will definitely impact the earnings of these stocks. And if inflation continues to moderate, we'll likely see the earnings of these companies also improve.
Let's talk about the oil and gas sector. NNPC has kept us, abreast of production activities, and what we're hearing is that production has increased. We're up to somewhere around 1.4, 1.6, around that region. Is that changing sentiment in the oil and gas sector for oil and gas stocks, especially, for the downstream?
Yes.
But then let's also keep in mind, of course, the petrol scarcity, the fact that there could be a price increase down the line. Right. We only have a petrol subsidy funding for the first, I believe, the first half of this year, and after that, it's a different direction.
Last week, MRS was a major gainer in the oil and gas sector. It also drove bullish sentiment in the oil and gas index. So definitely, it's also affecting the sentiments in the oil and gas sector. We've seen the likes of Adova and Total also gained respectively as a result of that.